Outlaw Law is brought to you by Whitaker and Hamer, attorneys and counselors at law. Your law firm for life.
The Outlaw Lawyers, Josh Whitaker and Joe Hamer, managing partners, Whitaker and Hamer Law Firm, offices conveniently located in Raleigh, Garner, Clayton, Goldsboro, Fuquay, Varina, Gastonia, and now in Morehead City. They are practicing attorneys here in North Carolina. I'm Morgan Patrick, consumer advocate. We hit the legal topics each and every week. If you've got a situation you're facing and you need answers to some of your legal questions, you can always call Whitaker and Hamer, 800-659-1186. That's 800-659-1186. Leave your contact info, briefly what the call's about, and an attorney with Whitaker and Hamer will be in touch. You can email your questions to the program. We'll answer them on a future show, and we'll keep you anonymous. Questions at theoutlawlawyer.com. Gentlemen, more Halloweeny.
So, Joseph, before we get into any more Halloweeny type cases, I was preparing for the show, and I was doing some Googling, and I was trying to find like the best all-time TV legal sitcom drama, but legal TV show best Halloween episodes. Okay. That's what I was trying to look for. It doesn't exist. That list does not exist. Anytime I'm Googling something that I think somebody should have done it. Anyway, so we got to put that together. And I don't know how we're going to do it.
So we're developing an Outlaw Lawyer TV show for this purpose?
No. We got to develop
the list. We got to put the list together. What if there's just no episodes that deal with it?
Well,
surely there are.
There are. Night Court had a ton of them, right? I can tell you that from personal experience.
Yeah, I believe. Trust me. If I'm going to believe anybody about Night Court, it's going to be you.
But I was trying to look at, because the one that I was thinking about, we talked about Treehouse of Horror, The Simpsons. There's an episode where it's the devil versus Homer Simpson. I'm sure you're familiar with it.
Yeah, certainly.
But Homer Simpson purports to sell his soul to the devil. The devil is Ned Flanders in this Treehouse of Horror. But he sells his soul for a donut. The devil comes back to collect, and they have a trial, right? Because Homer doesn't want to go down there with the devil. But anyway, so they have a whole trial, and Homer ends up winning because he had already pledged his soul to Marge before they got married, so he couldn't then convey his soul to the devil because he no longer owned it. He had given it. So it's a nice little, it's a nice.
So I'm taking that's going to be number one on your list. Spoiler alert.
I think that is number one on the list, even though it's not a legal show. But anyway, that list needs to be developed. Maybe someone out there listening can get to it before we get to it, but there needs to be a top 10 list of TV sitcoms / dramas that deal with a legal topic or trial with a Halloween theme. And they're out there. There's things.
Yeah, maybe that'll be in place by next Halloween, so it'll make our show planning easy to do.
Make it even more Halloweeny.
But in my searching now, there are lists, right? They're already, and this will make this job easier. People have already compiled like just, alphabetical list of every TV sitcom, drama, Halloween episodes, right? So you can look up, if you want to see every Halloween episode that Night Court had, you can look that up. Now, they're not ranked in any shape or form, or they haven't been subdivided in any way. But one of the things that really surprised me, and there's no discussion that goes with this, I just want to share it because I didn't know it existed. Growing up in the 80s, I was a big Knight Rider fan. Knight Rider. You're familiar with it? Knight Rider.
Hasselhoff.
Okay. Yeah. It was very,
yeah.
It was about the time.
I know the theme.
Yeah. There was a time in the 80s where machines that talked
took
over everything, right? There was what was the one with the helicopter?
Helicopter Rider?
Oh, what was the Airwolf?
That sounds pretty sweet, actually. I've literally never in my life heard of it. But it has Jan Michael Vincent.
Yeah, yes. Airwolf. It was big. Nice. It was big time, man. It was big time.
I believe you. I mean, it stopped airing before I was born, so you can't blame me.
But Knight Rider had a Halloween episode, and I can't for the life of me remember it. So later today, I'm going to hunt it down and watch it. I'm assuming it's out there somewhere, and I can get it.
Look at you, man, getting in the spirit, watching thematic TV shows. It was called The Halloween Night. I just Googled it myself. Yeah, it's the benefit of being remote.
Right in front of you.
Having my research available for me.
So I just wanted to share that with everybody, just so everybody else knew, and fans of the Knight Rider who may or may not remember that there was a Halloween episode can enjoy that this Halloween. You've got that going for you. So we got this whole. We're going to run out of time, but we got this whole list of cases that are Halloweeny. Joseph, what's the first one you want to talk about?
This is the cigarette slip up, as it is called, and this isn't necessarily a spooky case. I guess it's spooky if it happens to you, but basically you had a gentleman, Frank Ferlito. He attended a costume party. He was dressed up as his wife was Little Bo Peep and he was her sheep, and he spent all this time, man, making this fantastic sheep costume out of Johnson & Johnson cotton balls. And at some point during the party, Mr. Ferlito, when he drinks, he likes to have a cigarette, right? Not an uncommon. So Mr. Ferlito probably had a couple of drinks, man. He lights up his cigarette, and unfortunately, his entire costume catches on fire. So he suffers burns as a result, and the Ferlito family ultimately sues Johnson & Johnson for a failure to warn of this consequence.
And
please tell me they lost.
They did lose, but not for the reasons you probably want them to lose. They did not testify. There was not evidence presented that a warning on the package would have deterred them from using the cotton balls to create the costume. So assuming that Johnson & Johnson failed to properly warn their consumers that cotton balls were in fact flammable, here it wasn't the proximate cause of the damage, because there was no evidence presented that would have stopped. And I never who reads the warnings on cotton balls? And I guess somebody does.
I don't know.
Josh, you're not a rocket scientist, man, but I have to imagine that you don't need a warning to tell you that you don't.
Well, if
you're
doing
start
homemade,
puffing a cig with cotton balls all over.
I was going to say, if you're doing a homemade costume, you're thinking to yourself, okay, is this going to be, possibly a fire hazard? I need to be at least aware of it. Maybe.
I can see people at that party, man, seeing this dude just lit on fire and like, oh my God, that's an amazing costume. Like, how did he do that? That's incredible.
Is that part of it?
What? Yeah. The flames? The flames. Well, he survived, right? So he was obviously...
Yeah, he lived, man.
Yeah. But I always think about that person coming into my office, we try to take everything serious, right? You make a consultation with us. We're going to sit down with you and kind of talk through your problems. But like the attorney that got really jazzed about that case, like, oh man, yeah.
We're going to get him this time.
I always think about who was the attorney's name on Seinfeld? What was that guy's name? You know what I'm talking about. Seinfeld, the attorney that took all Kramer's crazy cases.
I don't know his name, but I know what you're talking about.
I think it was Jackie something. Anyway, that's the attorney I picture anytime like I read one of these cases, and I'm like, what attorney took this case? And like, thought
we got another one, man. Let's do another one real quick. We got the broken nose nightmare. Basically, you had a lady who went into a haunted house. You go into a haunted house, you might be scared while you're inside. That's the reason you go, right? So she's walking through the house. Somebody jumps out of the dark and hollers at her. And she gets startled, turns, begins to just sprint away, smashes face first into something, breaks her nose. So that's the basis of this case.
A lot of those haunted houses, they have you sign. A lot of them, have you sign the waiver when you go in, right? And you can select. I've never been to one. So we got to talk about future episode, maybe next Halloween. We talk about there's this place, McCamey Manor, and we can't get into it now, but it's a haunted house where you sign like a 50-page all-inclusive waiver. They can do anything to you, and literally no one's ever made it through it, period, ever, because it's just like they torture you. So
they have a cash reward if you make it through, right? It's a pretty...
Yeah, it's like 20, I want to say 25,000 maybe. Yeah. I'm just throwing that out there, but literally no one's made it. And you hear people talk about it, and it sounds like the second dumbest thing we've talked about next to lighting yourself on fire in a cotton ball suit.
Is that a local place or is that like a national?
I think it's in San Diego, but it does not, Halloween's not for you in general, Josh. I can say confidently that this place is not for you.
But like, if you really enjoy it, like you seem to like Halloween, I guess you wouldn't do that either, right?
Nah, man, this isn't even like they're jumping out and scaring you like a ghost. They're like tying people upside down and waterboarding them and shocking them with cattle prods. Like, that's not even that scary, man. That's just like, what are you doing?
Yeah, read the fine print when you sign those things. Just be careful.
Yeah, anytime you're going to go to like a haunted house, or I've even seen some of the corn mazes do it, but like trampoline parks, any of that stuff, you're signing a waiver, right? You just, but here, in this case, yeah, she wasn't successful because she should have expected to be surprised, startled, or scared by the exhibits. And here, I don't even think there was a waiver in this case, but I think most of them nowadays, they have some sort, even if it's like a short little waiver, just giving you a heads up. And it's hard to sue someone when you sign a waiver saying you're not going to sue in general.
It is hard. But you can still do it. It's not very easy.
Well, we've got a few more cases we're going to get to on the other side. The Outlaw Lawyers, Josh Whitaker and Joe Hamer, Whitaker and Hamer Law Firm. They're the managing partners there. And again, the power behind the Outlaw Lawyers is Whitaker and Hamer. If you've got a legal situation that you're facing and you've got questions outside our Halloweeny episode, you can always call the firm, 800-659-1186. That's 800-659-1186. Leave your contact information, briefly what the call's about. An attorney will be in touch with you from Whitaker and Hamer. And you can always email your questions to the show. We'll answer them on a future broadcast. Questions@theoutlawlawyer.com. We're back to wrap it up right after this.